So I was asking Craig, what, what problem do you solve for people for profit?
Okay. Let's start with I don't make profit because I have a ministry of nature and health. And so I'm here to collect compensation for my services. The key word there, that the red flag for the corporations providing government services, is the word income. You got to avoid that word. Otherwise, that puts you under their jurisdiction. Of the corporation providing government services, you have the India Corporation. I got the USA Corporation. But a lot of the governments, or they're just tricking people. They're actually a corporation providing government services. And how do I know that? Well, look up the Universal Commercial Codes, the UCC codes, big fat code of how all the governments work together. But it's a corporate code book. They don't tell people that. So okay. So what do I do? Just to clarify that. So what do I do? Get compensated for my services of helping people health. So if you're in an elevator, I might have 5 or 6 different speeches. Somebody, hey, what do you do? So the first one I'd say is, I just got this feedback from a bunch of clients last week. Said, Craig, I came into your office, had my medical diagnosis. I was super worried, super concerned, and then I left your office hopeful and lighter and more empowered. So that's one thing I do, is we give people hope. The thing I do is I give people a more hopeful, positive-minded health assessment. You go and see the doctors, and they're trained in the capitalistic model. And you can look, and there's all the videos of how modern medicine started out. Like, they kicked out everything in the Flexner report about 120 years ago. This evil man who had nothing to do with medicine, they brought him in, and he basically kicked out homeopathy, acupuncture, chiropractic, herbal medicine, hydrotherapy, all the ways you use water, sound therapy. It was all thrown out as quackery. And they weren't kind about it. They arrested people, they killed people, they burned down clinics. Many, many cancer doctors were destroyed. I was just talking to one of my old teachers on a Monday, a couple of days ago. He's got a mastermind group. He brought in a vaccine activist, Brandy Vaughn. Brandy, rest in peace. And she had a voice for choice, and her organization's still going. And she said in front of 300 of us at the seminar he was leading, he called it an immune seminar, but it was actually a cancer seminar. That's how we got around the bullshit. I just love this old teacher of mine. So she gets up there and says, I had him at his call. I was a guest on his call, his mastermind group. And I said, Michael, we got to talk about Brandy Vaughn and dedicate this to her. And he just lit up immediately. He's like, oh yeah, Brandy. He started going off. And then he said, she told all of us that she's not suicidal. And then she was dead a week later, and the coroner said it was suicide. So, and I told him, I said, it's funny, Michael, I have a friend who they found him dead, age 55, good health, Chicago, getting good results, found him dead in bed. Nicholas Gonzalez, MD, great cancer doctor, found him dead mysteriously, top of his health, age 60, a few years ago. And so you have to, if you're not aware of this, folks, you got to realize, like, this woman came in and she's like, how come I can't find your office? I said, that's by design. How come your address isn't on the web? That's by design, because I don't want to end up dead. You just make it difficult. You have to be a little bit of a trickster and use subterfuge in today's world. Well, it's always been this way, but just the technology makes it easier to find people now. So the other thing I do is back to so another thing I do is give people another opinion and another bit of support, which we call it advocate. So I'm a medical advocate. I'm going to advocate for you because you don't understand the terminology they're using, the language they're using. So that's another one. A quick little sense would be, yeah, I'm an advocate for people in the hospital because I help you understand their language. And one of their tricks they do, there's a movie about this called First Do No Harm. You and Sankirtan might enjoy it. It was Meryl Streep when she was young. And the movie goes over what they do in the hospital, basically. And that is, when you go in and you say, oh, sign this form, admission form, they call it, or whatnot. That's a release of your liability to yourself, to your property, which is your body. And the hospital owns your body until the doctor signs a form that discharges you. So the hospital, that's why you don't want to tell people, I advocate for you, don't sign anything. Don't sign anything until you know exactly what you're giving away. Did you know that? See what I'm saying? And if you go in there and you're in a coma or you're passed out, they can't make you sign it. But as soon as you come to, then they'll get, even if you're drugged out and messed up and unclear, they go, you got to sign this. And you're on opium, oh, yeah, okay. And then suddenly, so the movie was about this woman, her child was admitted to the hospital. She didn't like what they were doing, so she took him out, and the cops arrested her because her son's body was the property of the hospital. Imagine a mother being told you can't take her kid home. The whole movie was about her just going nuts. Mama bear kicks in, and then the mama bear's like, no, you're not going to tell me what I can do with my child. But she didn't know the law. Well, it's not a law. It's a legal fiction, but they make it sound like law. I did the last thing. So that's another thing I do is help people understand. And the language they're using is how they trick you. And then the last thing I do is I unravel the medical emotional sale. If you're not aware of something, look up the word Hegel, Hegel, and the Hegelian dialect means they have a solution already ready for you. So they create a problem. In this case, it would be, oh, your lab work looks horrible, your mammogram, and we gotta. So they create a problem because they've already got the solution. The problem generates a reaction, and then they've got the solution waiting for you. Oh, surgery. So I help people unravel that, because they come in, they're all worried, and that's part of the worry and leaving hopeful. It's like, look, you're in a capitalistic hospital. They're not a nonprofit. They're here to make money. So how do they make money on people? Sick care. And I'm healthcare over here going, I'm the holistologist. I'm the guy that practices holistology. I can tell you how this fits with that and how the eyeball fits in with the tongue and how the digestion affects the hormones and how your leaky gut affects your leaky brain. And, there's so many interconnections in the body. And that's what I'm here to teach, right? What else do you see? I mean, you must see some other, what do you see Craig doing based on our time? And then we can probably end. Yeah, we're getting close to the end.
Yeah, I see you. I have down the positive minded health assessment. I think that's great. And you also have this medical advocate. It is a whole thing that this, a person when they're going into a medical facility, it's kind of an overwhelming thing, especially if you're vulnerable, right? Vulnerable with whatever health challenges. People go into they seek medical professional help because they need help, right? Like you're not going into the hospital because you're having a good day, right? So, right? Like, otherwise you wouldn't go into that place. There's no reason to go to seek medical care if you're doing great, right? So I really resonate with the ministry aspect of helping the actual person, right? That you're not working for some other interest, some selfish interest, some entity. It's corporate. It's a whole big clusterfuck, really. When you digest all this legal documents and buying, it's like this is not human nature, right? What's actual ancient, time-tested health care, not sick care. So you provide, yeah, you're offering a solution, and in a way that is very it's very different, because this person will have this kind of skill set. Like I could go seek an acupuncturist, I could go seek a chiropractor, I could go seek but you're kind of like this jack of all, not, I don't want to say jack of all trades because it's more than that. Like you're this like very uh master level health trainer, really. You could train all those people. You could have all those alternative health people sit in a circle and you can share with them something. So it's like it's a health alchemist is really the right term. You're a health alchemist, right? How do you alchemize all this stuff? Because real alchemy means you take lead and you make it into gold, right? So you're you're extracting, okay, here's your health situation, here's a disease, and how do we make this into, let's make it right, and like, and the goal is the gold, not the profit. So yeah, health alchemy. Craig Lane, health alchemy.
The Ministry of Nature and Health, and that's how, if you wanted to have, if you're watching this and you wanted to have your own sort of, don't say business either, you want to have your own private operation or your own practice of something, then you either make a private membership organization or you make a ministry. And I have a minister's license. It's not in a, it's just an online certificate, but I went through my due diligence and got the certificate. And so then when they come and say, oh, you got to file taxes, well, there's actually no law saying you have to file taxes. People do it voluntarily, but it was originally meant for people in commerce and corporations, but they tricked everybody into voluntarily paying 25-30% of their paycheck every year. And I tell people, like, but what they do is, if you resist, they whittle you down with auditing and harassing notes, and people don't know how to send notice anymore because anyways. So you have to, in today's world, I'm reading all these old historical documents these days and old British history, and the people back 1,000 years ago, if they weren't putting up with something, the leadership was fucked. Whether you were a king or a prince or a local earl or a duke, if your subjects weren't happy, sure, they would do smear campaigns and wipe people out and lie about them, but if the people were against you, the men were men back then. And I just told a woman the other day, I go, I think it was maybe you last week, do you want your soy boy vegan skinny guy, is he going to protect you when the bad boys with the black suits come on? Probably not. I just talked to a woman today though, and she said, I was in another country and I was really scared. There was 3 hoodlums coming up on us, and my boyfriend protected me. He literally put himself at risk to get himself beat up by the 3 guys to protect her. So that's what men do. Run! The evil guys are coming. Go run, and I'll hold them off for you while you get away. That's what a man does. That's what a woman warrior would do, right? If you were a woman warrior, you'd be like, okay, I'm going to sort of hold off the evil while the rest of you. And that's been, like, our history's been changed, and everything is inverted in our world. That's another thing I do, is I re-invert reality for people. And it's really important to understand that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording because we're past our time now. And it's good because
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Well, we'll you could do a little end screen.
Like, subscribe, and share.
Like, share, subscribe. That'll be our end screen. Yay! Okay. I don't know. I don't want to hit end. How do I stop this thing? Let's try
that. I think you have to end.
If I end, it might end the call. Okay, so let's just say goodbye.